South Carolina. TGD Radio presents GolfRap, sponsored by Myrtle Beach Golf Authority.
Let's go while we're young. So who's the host of the show?
He's the senior TGD golf analyst. He's a former touring pro, a current teaching pro. He will teach for food. Hugh Royer III.
Oh, this is the worst looking hat I ever saw. Oh, it looks good on you, though. What about that guy that calls himself the Godfather?
He had a voice that could make a wolverine purr. He was like a god walking amongst mere mortals.
I look good. I mean, really good. Hey, everyone! Come and see how good I
He
look!
refers to himself as the Godfather.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
He spends more time on his hair than on the golf course.
How's my hair?
I'm a Dapper Dan man.
If you need a gin card, he's got one. He is George Honeycutt, the Godfather.
Don't act like you're not impressed.
And good morning, everybody. Welcome to Monday Morning Golf Rap. And Hugh, that has to be the funniest doggone intro I've heard for any program there is.
I tell you, D's got some talent. I'll give him that.
He can hit a ball, too.
I understand that, but I mean, when it comes to putting stuff together, I know he spent a lot of time on it. You know, at least somebody in that family's got some talent when it comes to being, you know, producing and production and that kind of thing.
Well, it's about like teeth. You know, Eastern Tennessee, you just count the number of teeth, and that gives you your IQ.
Well, he definitely has the most in that booth in there, that's for sure.
I want to welcome everybody to Monday Morning Golf Rap. Of course, Hugh Royer III, George Honeycutt. We're so happy to be with you today. We've had a busy weekend, folks. It's been real busy. We ended up playing the Saturday golf group, played out at Shasberry Saturday morning, teeing off at about 7:45 in the morning. Overcast. It was about, 18 degrees.
It was chilly.
It was cold, dude. And it started raining about the seventh hole, I guess it was. We ended up, you know, I'm a little ticked, Hugh, because the way the weather, the day went, I was playing pretty good. And with my, you know, my handicap, my strokes that I get, I was really figuring I had pretty much a lock to be in the top 12 Saturday. I knew I was going to make the top 12.
Well, dude, you only had 12.
I was locked. How much more could you ask?
Oh, you're right.
Man.
Nothing like a sure thing.
I was on a roll, dude. I was on a roll. But ended up, of the 12 guys we had, 9 of them ended up quitting after, I guess, 9 holes. And then Big D, Destin, Jeff, and I ended up finishing 18 holes. And then we got to go over and witness the grand opening to the South Carolina Golf Center. It couldn't have been a better day until later that afternoon when our dogs got it handed to them. They basically got them cut off, dangled in front of them, shown to them, and then thrown into the trash can.
I was pretty upset with it too. But you know what made it worse was, you know, my two guys that caddied for me when I was on tour, Red Whitlock and Jamie Odom, were there. Well, Jamie's a big Florida fan, so you can imagine the abuse I was catching.
Oh, you saw the picture he sent me on Facebook.
Oh yeah.
So, needless to say, the Godfather has to purchase, if anyone wants to contribute to the Honeycutt Foundation for battered and lost golf balls, now's the time to do it. I've got to repurchase a 60-inch flat screen TV, as it's the only low-hooking 5-iron I've hit in the last probably 5 years. So I sent a ball right through the middle of the screen at the end of the game. I was, you know, every once in a while, those of us from South Georgia, we kind of get into that mindset that we can actually reach and touch out and make an impression on the people that are on the screen. You know, we kind of get into that reality TV thing every once in a while, you know, whether it's Mark Rick or Honey Boo Boo.
Yeah.
And I just figured if I hit a good low launching hook in 5-iron, that I'd hit Rick right in the forehead as he was walking off the field.
You're kind of like my great aunt. She used to fix her hair before she watched TV all the time.
There you go. There you go. You know, is she a Dapper Dan girl? There you go.
And I tell you what, George, before we get cranked up into the tours and, you know, our wrap-up stuff that we do every week, we've got to send a little shout-out to Miss Haley Cleary.
She won this week, didn't she?
She won again this weekend. Her second win of the summer. She won the Blade earlier, and then she won the Fall Challenge up at Cheraw State Park in some pretty nasty weather. Shot even par.
Did she really?
This young lady, she's had, I believe it's 4 or 5 top fives plus 2 wins this summer. So I'm pretty excited. Putting with a new Lamont Man putter.
Now, I'm going to tell you, dude, Saturday, what was I screaming? Lamont Man, 6 birdies.
Yep.
Lamont Man. And so Haley should have been, it was like, I hope she heard me because she was screaming Lamont Man also.
Well, I tell you what, I texted him yesterday afternoon and told him about her win and with the putter, and he called them on their way home. And she told him, says, "You are the Santa Claus of the golf business." And he said he about, weed his pants. He laughed so hard. So,
good.
What a great weekend. Been a good summer for her. And it's nice to see a young lady with that kind of talent and that kind of a work ethic and to be that kind of just a good person in general.
I hope we can get Haley to CCU.
We're working on that.
It'd be good.
I'm working on Katie for that.
Her.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it'd be good to have her in the local area and be able to follow her.
Yep.
And so that'll be a lot of fun. I look forward to that. All right, let's get started on the pro side. Of course, this weekend, the PGA Tour was over in China, the CIMB. And really, dude, this guy comes out. Last year, he wins the event, and he wins it again this year. Ryan Moore ends up at 17 under par, picks up $1.26 million. It was a 3-shot win for him, but it was interesting, those that were chasing him. Of course, as you refer to it, my man crush, Sergio Garcia, was making a last-day move. So was Gary Woodland. It was good to see Gary really making a charge for it. And also, too, Kevin Na was right there in the run. And those 3 end up at 14 under. Just couldn't catch Ryan. Ryan was on a steady Eddie pace. He was, no doubt about it, hitting fairways, hitting greens. He was making some putts when he needed to. And the weather was giving him a little bit of fits there at Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia. And so it was a good win for Ryan. Again, he defends his championship last year and picks it up again for a nice check to go into the bank. So congratulations to Ryan Moore for the CIMB Classic win of 2014.
Put it to you this way, brother. That guy gets on a roll. That's why he's so good in match play. It's just hard. He doesn't make mistakes.
Yeah.
It's like I tell the kids, boring in golf is a good thing.
Well, Hugh, we talked about him as one of those that would be a real good captain's choice pick for the Ryder Cup.
Absolutely.
He was on that list. So, and of course, we ended up going in another direction. So
let's just let that dog
Let's
lay.
let that dog, yeah. After a while, that dog's going to run off the porch. We've kicked it so much.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
Let's move on. This weekend, interestingly, was the end of the season for the Charles Schwab Cup. That is the Champions Tour. They were out at Desert Mountain Golf Club, the Cochise course, and Desert Mountain has not, nor has even thought about, looked better than it did this weekend for this event. Hats off to the super out there. They really got that golf course. They put some length on it. They made some adjustments with some of the waste areas. They've really kind of gone in and I want to say juiced up the greens.
Yeah.
But they went ahead and got them healthier.
Mm-hmm.
And the golf course was playing spectacularly, and it was already Bernhard Longer's championship, folks. We had announced that last week. We told you it was a done deal. Yes, it was a done deal. Bernhard Longer does end up winning the Charles Schwab Cup for this year. But, however, we had a tournament inside the tournament, and that tournament ended up being very entertaining, one of which Bernhard Longer took the attitude that he was going to go out with a flurry. So actually on Friday and Saturday, Bernhard Longer went out there and just had the I don't give a crap attitude because he had already won the cup, and he already got the $1 million annuity. So he just said, I'm going to go out and just shoot lights out. Well, those other guys that were also playing in this event, it wasn't just the Bernhard Longer tournament, said, holy crap, here he comes, and so we better light it up. And so it got to be real fun on Sunday to watch these guys coming down the stretch. And I'm meaning by the Tom Bernice Jr., the Jay Haas, the Kenny Perrys, and the Colin Montgomerys.
Yeah.
Colin Montgomery, again, in
65.
another event. comes.
67
Yeah,
shot,
yeah. And, well, Bernhardt
Langer
shot 65.
yeah.
But, they were all sitting there chasing down basically Tom Pernice and, Jay Haas and then Kenny Perry. And by the way, I mentioned Kenny Perry. He does not end up winning, nor does he end up getting into the playoff that occurred. However, Kenny Perry becomes only the 15th player in the Champions Tour history to shoot 4 rounds in the 60s and not win.
Wow.
Is that interesting?
That is very interesting.
68, 68, 68, 68, -8. He finishes in 3rd in this tournament. So hats off to Kenny Perry. He finished his year in a flurry, and he is so much fun to watch, the way he draws the club back, the way he lines up. You sit here and, if I lined up that way, Hugh, it would end up in the same place my drives normally do, which is about 47 yards right in the tree line, and you just hope for a good kick out. But he puts that big draw on everything he hits, including his putter. And so, but what ends up happening is Tom Pernice Jr. and Jay Haas end up in a playoff. And the playoff, I thought they were going to run out of sunlight.
Yeah.
Because it ends up going 4 holes, and they end up playing 18, 18, 17, 18. And 17 is a really nasty par 3. I mean, we're talking 220-plus yards. They had the pin back 4 off the right, and it was about 87 yards deep into the green. So it was on the back right, covered up by that big front right bunker. And it was interesting. I really thought that when it goes to 17 after the second playoff hole that they had pretty much matched up, birdies, that it was really Jay Haas's tournament at that point. Tom Pernice hits a 5-iron on this 220-yard par 3 and pulls it left, and he actually goes uphill and he's got a downhill sloping chip. The ball is settled down, and he's got about, a good 20 to 22 yards that he's got to chip and get down toward the pin at and try to get it to stop on some pretty quick greens. And then Haas goes up and just sends a likewise 5-iron, sets it in high, sets it in soft. It comes up, and he's got about a 15-footer for birdie. And I kind of figured, okay, this Haas is, it's his tournament. Pernice sends his chip down there, goes about 4.5 feet below the cup. Haas makes a good run at birdie, a decent run at birdie. He really didn't attack the hole, but it was kind of a lag putt.
Yeah.
He taps in for par, and then Pernice just drains his 4.5-footer. That likewise, he had the very similar same putt during regulation play, and he missed.
Yeah.
And that caused him really to jump up in the playoff because Haas had birdied 18 to post the early score. And then Pernice had to come and eagle 18 to get into the playoff.
Well, I'll tell you this, though, George. Tom, and we always tease him, we call him Pernice.
Pernice?
But he's always been very, very good to me and been a great friend. And, watching him chip and do stuff and work on his short game, I mean, the guy's a magician around the greens. I mean, really, really unreal. So, to see him go out, I mean, he hits the ball great, but his short game, and for him to miss the putt in regulation kind of surprised me. But trust me, it's not going to happen twice in a row.
Well, a couple of things I noticed, Hugh, and this is just we're trying to educate our listeners and our viewers. Both Haas and Pernice Jr. are Titleist players. They were both playing the new 915 series drivers, fairway medals, things of that sort. They're both AP2 players, and they were both just firing laser shots yesterday. It's a lot of fun. Haas had gone through, of course, Saturday. He strikes a spectator in the head. The spectator had to be removed by ambulance. The spectator is since doing okay, but however, it was kind of scary there for a moment. There was a head laceration due to the strike by the ball, and Haas, being the person he is, he basically got put on the clock by the rules officials because of his time with the lady that was stricken, and he just sat there and wanted to make sure that she was going to be okay before she was removed.
Well, that just right there tells you the kind of people and the person that he is, and the people that are out there on
and that's
the tour.
where I was going.
And, I mean, Jay Haas is one of the most unassuming people you'll ever meet in your life. Very nice. And for him to do that and to show that right there, and now I'm glad to hear the lady's fine.
Mm-hmm.
She'll get a lot of memorabilia from this and a lot of stuff. And the tour officials, I mean, they have time restraints and this, that, and the other, but there comes a point where it's like, hey, chill out and sit back and let's get this taken care of.
Yeah,
And
like
you
a
could
race,
tell-
put it under red flag and just halt everybody
Yes.
and let's take care of this emergency
Exactly.
situation.
And I mean, you can tell by the score that he shot. I mean, if that doesn't happen, the man probably wins it running away. But, it worked out into a playoff, more entertainment for everybody watching. And congratulations to my good friend Tom Pernice for winning. And
again, he picks up $440,000 for the win. Good win for him. Tom is probably, if not the most politically in tune with the tours, he is one of the more political in tune players as far as committees and communication, and everybody likes Tom.
Tom, he's one of those. He says what's on his mind, but yet it is within the realm of political correctness.
Yeah, but he
knows how to play it.
He knows how to talk.
Oh yeah, he
knows what to say, when to say.
Very intelligent individual.
Yeah. Let me catch you up, everyone. Now we mentioned that Bernhard Longer picks up the Charles Schwab Cup for 2014. Just to kind of give you some facts, Longer's 57 years old, folks. Again, he's a anchored putter user. He's 57. He's got one more year of using that putter. Is next year his hoorah? Is next year it for Bernhard?
He will go to the Kuchar style putting. You watch.
Okay. Well, he kind of invented that. He was Kuchar style putting at Kiowa.
Exactly.
So, and that's where Kuchar got his idea from watching Longer at Kiowa, during the Ryder Cup at the Ocean Course. So, I don't know. You sit and look at it and you say, okay, he'll be 59 years old when the putting or when the anchoring ban comes to play in January 1, 2016. Is he going to make next year his last hurrah and then just slowly, drift off at the, in the sunset?
I don't think so. I think he enjoys playing. He enjoys, the competition.
Let me tell you what he set this year. Interestingly, he broke a couple of records. First off, he broke the single season earning records that had been set in 2002 by Hale Irwin. In 2002, Hale Irwin participated in 27 events and averaged $112,000 per event.
Wow.
Now, in 2014, Bernhard Longer has now broken that record. He participated in 21 events, 6 less than Hale Irwin did, and he averages $146,000 and change per event.
That's pretty impressive.
Isn't that impressive?
Wow.
Isn't that impressive? He ends up winning for the year, of course, when you do the math, over $9 million for the season.
That's unreal.
He also wins his 6th Arnold Palmer Award, which is handed out to the tour's money leader at the end of the year. And coincidentally, folks, this is Bernhard Longer's 6th Arnold Palmer Award in the last 7 years. His 6th award in the last 7 years.
So who do you think's the best Champions Tour player ever? Duh.
But also, too, I mean, look at Lee Trevino. He had 29 wins.
I understand that.
Lee Trevino had 4 years beginning in, he turned 50 in 1990, if I remember right. He had 4 years of 6 wins or more for the first 7 years he played on the tour.
And again, and I'm not going a win's a win, and I'm not going to take that away from him.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not like it is now. That tour was still fledgling. They still were wondering if it would even take off.
Yeah.
Now you look at where this thing is, and the
that's
people that
why
are playing,
Lee's not in the money. He's not. He didn't establish. You look at Hale Irwin did it in 2002. The tour had been around already for about 15 years, but it had been fledgling, like you said.
Yeah.
And then at 2000 and later is when it started getting those those money,
It
funds up
sponsors
there.
Charles Schwab
Yeah.
and all the other this and that was going through there, putting money in there.
Interestingly, this was the 25th Charles Schwab Cup. Were you aware of that?
No, I was not.
25th.
Wow. Cool.
It's hard to believe they've been around that long. One other award that Longer wins this year, folks, is the Byron Nelson Award, which is the scoring leader award for the year on the Champions Tour. Bernhard Langer records a scoring average of each round that he played in 21 events on the Champions Tour this year. Average score 68.03.
Wow. That's pretty solid.
That's golfing your ball.
That's solid, yeah.
So congratulations to Bernhard Langer, 57 years old. One more year, he wins the Charles Schwab Cup. And for Bernhard Langer, again, he made a comment yesterday in the interview, Hugh. I kind of caught it, and I kind of swallowed it, and I kind of thought about it. But they asked him about his motivation this year. And he made a comment about Freddie Couples, that he had heard Freddie in an interview before, right at the first event of the Champions Tour for this year. And Freddie made a statement that he felt was this year to win the Charles Schwab Cup. And evidently in the clubhouse, all the other Champions Tour participants heard that comment. Mm-hmm. And they figured, well, Freddie's going to light it up, so we're going to have to go low. And Bernhard said that's what charged him up to go out there and win 5, 6, 7 events this year on the Champions Tour. He said because Freddie was so bound and determined to win the Charles Schwab Cup this year that he felt like at any moment's stretch of time that Freddie was going to start putting together wins.
Yeah.
And so he felt like he had to be there in the top 5 every week. So he used Freddie Couples as his motivation for this year's win of the Charles Schwab Cup.
Well, it just goes to show you, George, and it goes to prove a very, very specific point that somebody brought up to me this weekend, and it's kind of funny. It doesn't matter if you've played, you've gone out and you've played the tour and you've retired. It still burns.
Oh, goodness, yeah.
The fire still burns.
The competitive edge in
To
these
be able
guys.
to go and play competitively, it never dies
and
out.
Lanny Watkins, we don't exactly agree with Lanny always, but Lanny, in his post-tournament interviews yesterday and comments, he was making a statement that he just really hoped that next year, and I agree with this, he just hoped that next year, yes, we're going to have Bernhard Langer. Yes, we're going to have Kenny Perry. Yes, we're going to have Jay Haas. We're going to have the others. He just hopes that the VJ Singhs and the Davis Loves the Thirds and those other guys that are now have turned 50, that they commit themselves a little bit more to the Champions Tour and get out there and win and apply more pressure to the quote-unquote elders, as he put it.
And I like the way he's put it, apply more pressure to them. But the underlying part of that statement, I believe, is to get those names and those guys winning and supporting it so that the sponsors become bigger.
Yeah.
The purses are bigger. It becomes more of a showcase instead of just the geezers out playing golf.
Hugh, you and I, for the last several years, we've sat and watched this Champions Tour double, triple, quadruple, 5, 6, 7 times the annual monies in their prize funds, in their foundation awards, and the charity contributions they're raised. I mean, the monies now generated by the Champions Tour are, I never envisioned them to be that high. I never thought that, Pernice wins $440,000, but again, a week ago, the winner got, $760,000.
Yeah.
So, those were numbers that we saw on the PGA Tour just, 5, 6, 7 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. And and it's all changing. It's all changing relative, to the economic standings of the day. But, I just think that, Dean Beeman back in the day when they started the senior tour, and they were Don Januaries and all that, and they're riding around in golf carts. Now all of a sudden there's no golf carts anymore and everybody's walking. It's a legitimate tour now, and it draws a lot of people to watch. I don't care, young or old.
Yeah. It's it's become a a fun tour to watch, not just because of the names that are in it. It used to be when the Champions Tour played, you were hoping that you would get to see a Lee Trevino or Mr. Nicholas or Mr. Palmer, or, you know, that they would participate, show up. You would get to see a legend, you know. Now these guys are out there shooting 20 under par every week over 3 days, not 4, over 3 days. And, you know, you've got a whole gambit of players like Tom Pernice Jr. that have just as much opportunity to win week to week as, you know, your others, until you get like a Bernhard Langer that just decides, I'm just going to run away with it. And the way he runs away with it, he's not flashy. He's not, you know, he'll go out and shoot 65 and you would think he shot 80.
Yeah, it's like we talk about point A, point B, point C, or dink and dunk and whatever. Next thing you know, you get done. This guy's beat the brains out of you. You know, I mean, and that's why I say, you know, it doesn't have to be flashy. It doesn't have to be Tiger hitting it 9 miles or hitting it from out of the. It's about a guy going out and playing solid round of golf and hitting the ball where he wants it to go.
And playing the golf course.
Exactly.
Playing
that's exactly right.
the golf course.
Yes.
Bernhard Langer, I think, is one of the best at course management, playing the golf course. He keeps an eye on the leaderboard, but I think Bernhard is the type that doesn't really even get involved in the leaderboard.
And you know, a lot of people say it, and we laugh about it, you know, because he is German. But I've been to his home down in Florida. He's one of the nicest people you'll ever meet.
Right.
Very religious, you know, very good man. But I mean, we would all say, typical German. He gets his game plan. He knows what he wants to do. And the only time he varies from it is if it is depicted by weather conditions. Mm-hmm. You know, it is that he plays the golf hole and the golf course the way he has mapped it out. Mm-hmm. And you watch him; the guy makes very few mistakes.
Right.
Now, he's made a few on the last hole. You know, a couple of times here and there not to win, but the guy.
And that's where you see the only glitch in the armor is when he's got one hole left. And he's got to make a birdie or he's got to make a par. And then all of a sudden you see him maybe doing something that's quite not in his comfort zone.
Yeah.
And that's the only time you'll ever see him stray from his focus, his bulletized, his, you know, scope mindset.
Yes.
So congratulations, Bernhard Langer, dude. I just... He's fun to watch, but so are all of them.
Oh, yeah.
And it's real entertaining, the Champions Tour. And, again, they are done for the season, folks, so it'll be, again, in January before they crank back up again. So we'll miss them over the holiday period. But, however, there's a lot of golf left to come, one of which was the ladies were over in Taiwan over the week, and they were at Miramar Golf and Country Club in Lingkou, Taiwan. NB Park, 26 years old, turned pro in 2006. She picks up $300,000. This is NB Park's 12th victory on the LPGA Tour. She stays at number 1 in the Rolex World Rankings. And, again, this is just one position over Stacey Lewis, who is in second. And, again, it's interesting. NB Park is having quite the career. She has won $2.134 million in 2014. She is currently second in the money list. Mm-hmm. She has won, since her turning pro in 2006, Hugh, she has won $9.864 million on the LPGA Tour.
I'd say she's pretty good.
Right at $10 million.
I think she can play.
Not bad. And
your strokes won't help.
Yeah, that's right. She's the only player with along with Stacey Lewis, who now has 3 wins in 2014. And I gave you this stat a couple of weeks ago, Hugh, and it caught you off guard, but I'll remind you of it. She's now participated this year in 21 events. She's made 20 cuts, and she's had 13 top 10s. That's impressive golf in your ball.
You know what? And folks, you don't understand how hard it is to go out and play that many golf tournaments and make the cut and finish in the top 15.
Top 25.
It wears you out mentally. I mean, mentally and physically, but more mentally. And for her to be able to maintain that kind of focus to do that, I mean, that just says a lot about the young lady's resolve and you know, no offense, her guts.
I mean, she's been on the tour for 8 years. Yeah. It's hard to believe. I mean, and she's only come into the forefront as far as all of our attentions as spectators of the sport in the last couple of years. But when she actually got that game to the point where she puts the same swing on every club, it never changes. She's such a consistent short game player, and when she gets to rolling that rock, nobody can touch her.
No. And that's the thing, why do you want 13 different swings for, 13 different clubs? I mean, she makes it very simple.
Yeah.
Yes.
So congratulations to MB Park. She picks up, as I mentioned, her 12th victory on the LPGA Tour, winning in Taiwan at the Miramar Golf and Country Club. Also going on, interestingly, Hugh, coming up this week, the PGA Tour, along with the European Tour, they are headed basically across town to from Lake Malaran. They were there at the European Tour, had the 2014 BMW Masters Championship, and they are heading right across town over to Shenzhen, China, for the HSBC match play. And so we're going to go through some of the names of who's going to play in that this week, and it's a who's who of golf. Mm-hmm. The only person that's missing is Tiger.
Yeah.
But Lake Malaran at the BMW Masters, they had a playoff with Marcel Sim, Alex Levy, and Ross Fisher. And interesting, Levy had quite a substantial lead going into the last round. He had a 4-shot lead, and he ends up posting 78 on the last day. But that was just exactly good enough to get him in a playoff with Marcel Sim and Ross Fisher, who Marcel ends up shooting 73 on the last round to end up in that playoff. And, of course, Ross Fisher ends up at 74, I think he had. But they go out for a playoff, 3 of them. On the first playoff hole, interestingly, they get out there, and Marcel ends up chipping in for birdie. And, however, Fisher and Levy both had birdie putts. They both missed. So Marcel wins the event. So congratulations to Marcel Sim.
Hey, you know what? A W's a W.
And that gets him. He had planned for a holiday this week coming up, and he was going to do it in Thailand. And he was going to go take some time off and get a spa treatment or whatever you do in Thailand. And now he is participating there in China at the HSBC World Match Play.
Good for him.
So that gets him qualified for that. So congratulations to Marcel Sim, and again, for his win at the 2014 BMW Masters. Now, I mentioned the WGC, Hugh. I wanted to mention some of the names that we can look for this week playing in this. This is the second event of the Race for Dubai, of course, which is the European Tour's, I guess you could say it's like their FedEx Cup or the Charles Schwab Cup or whatever. This is their end-of-the-season tournaments that end up with their end-of-the-season championship. And, of course, right now, Rory McIlroy's in the lead for the Race for Dubai. But, however, there are many, many players from around the world that are participating this coming week, as I mentioned, in Shanghai, China, and that is for the WGC HSBC Championship, which is November 6th through the 9th, and this tournament is actually its 10th anniversary. So this tournament is gaining a significant amount of support and participation. Teeing up this week, world number 2, Adam Scott. World number 4, Sergio Garcia. Number 5 in the world, Henrik Stenson. Number 5 in the world, Henrik Stenson. You got that? It's not Patrick Reed. Okay, gotcha. Yeah. World number 6, Justin Rose. Bubba Watson will be there. Martin Keimer will be there. Also, Ricky Fowler is lined up to play. So, participants from around the globe are going to head over to China this week for the HSBC. And this is the World Golf Championship. Of course, it's their series of events that's was the fallout from Greg Norman and what he tried to put together with the World Golf Tour.
I got one for you. How about Francesco Molinari and Angel Cabrera are alternates?
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Is that not nuts?
That
you got a Masters champion that's an alternate.
Isn't that crazy?
That you got to be kidding me.
That tells you how how heavy stacked this field is. when they are alternates. That's pretty good, dude. So this will be a lot of fun to. Ooh, I got a friend. Yeah. This will be a lot of fun to watch and follow this week. You're looking at some past winners of this thing: David Howell, Phil Mickelson, Martin Keimer, Ian Poulter. So the list is long and quite extensive with the marquee names that have participated in this event. So
now, are they playing down in Jackson this week in the Sanderson Farms?
In Jackson,
Mississippi? Yeah.
I didn't see it.
I mean, I see it right here on the schedule. Woody won that last year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just curious.
Well, I would imagine they are, dude. The PGA Tour is just now started its season, so.
Yeah, Woody, Ben Curtis.
Yeah.
DeMarco, Ken Duke, Joe Durant.
So that's coming up
this week as well.
Mm-hmm.
I did not realize. I thought, they were taking a little bitty break, but.
Well, they won't take their break, dude, until Thanksgiving, and then they'll fire it up for 2 weeks in December, and then they'll take a Christmas break.
Okay.
So
they're in Jackson playing
Jackson,
at the Country
Mississippi.
Club. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So a lot of good golf coming up ahead of us. Of course, the women are going to be finishing up. They're headed to Mexico. They are leaving the Asian theater. They're headed to Mexico, and then they will, of course, finish up in a couple of weeks in Naples, Florida. So that'll be a lot of fun to watch, and we'll see if Stacey Lewis and MB Park end up in a parking lot cat fight to work out
like
who's going to be the number.
Last night in NASCAR, yeah. That was comical in itself.
Again, Hugh, congratulations on the grand opening of the South Carolina Golf Center. We all participated. You had over 100 people there Saturday. The weather was absolutely horrible, folks, but doggone it, you could not believe how jam-packed that whole new building was, and everybody was just ranting and raving about how well it turned out, how pretty it was, how they loved your hitting beige. They love the lobby area, the fireplace, no. So congratulations, you're off and running now, and we're looking forward to some really good things coming out of the South Carolina Golf Center.
George, I appreciate it. And Mark Brooks was there, and a lot of people getting to hit the new Nike clubs and stuff, the Vapors that are coming out, and it was fun to watch the kids because we had a lot of the junior guys the kids were there and hitting those clubs, and they're just like, wow. These are cool.
Yeah.
So, it worked out really good for everybody concerned. So we were very happy.
It did. It was a lot of fun
coming and doing the broadcast and hanging out with us.
We had a lot of fun, and thanks for our invite. So
always,
even though I had to buy a shirt. So
no, you didn't.
TGD Radio and TVGD TV are produced and broadcast by the Zeus Radio Network for thegolfdirector.com. Of course, when you're visiting the Golf Director, be sure to navigate over to our featured golf course pages, where you'll find the date information, up-to-date information about those courses, their conditions, any specials they got going, and much, much more. Need help with your next golf vacation? Just give Dave a call here at 844-GO-GOLF-1. That's 844-464-6531. All of our TGD programming is archived for listening and viewing on demand. If you should need to catch up on any show you may have missed, click on the TGD Radio and the TGD TV tabs in the menu at the golfdirector.com. This, of course, is George Honeycutt for Hugh Roy III and our producers. We want to thank you for tuning in. There's more TGD golf news and information coming up very soon here on thegolfdirector.com.